So here I have the DJI Neo, my most used drone over the past 2 months, and there's no secret that this is a must-have drone for every content creator, family or solo traveler out there. And if you clicked on this video, there is a high chance that you own one yourself. And if you do, you might also have experienced that the footage doesn't really look that great in all scenarios. In today's video, I want to show you how I color correct and grade the image shot on the DJI Neo, both with and without a controller. And the benefit with using a controller here is that you can lower the sharpness to -2, which will give you a much more natural and softer look than if you were using any of the quick shots or if you were flying with the smartphone. Because when you use the quick shots, everything is set back to default. So no matter how many settings you actually change when you use the remote controller, whether it's the white balance, sharpness, noise reduction, ISO and shutter speed, once you connect this to your smartphone again, or just use it without any controller and use the quick shots features here on the top of the drone, everything will automatically go back to default, which means that the sharpness and noise reduction goes back to 0 and all the other settings goes back to auto. So the only way to adjust the footage is either to use that dedicated RC controller or to do manual correction in post. So as we go over to Final Cut Pro here, we have 3 different clips. One which is captured with the RC remote, one which is captured with the smartphone, and one captured using the drone itself and only the quick shots. I also want to say that I'm launching my new LUTs bundle for the DJI Neo, which is based on the success of my Signature LUTs. These LUTs have been developed to automatically correct the image by lowering the sharpness and highlights, as well as adding a unique color pattern to make your DJI Neo videos stand out and look better. I've also included a new version of my most popular LUTs, which are called Hawaii and Caramel. So if you're looking for something that will make people ask how you manage to get your footage to look this good, then these are the LUTs you want. If you want to learn more about these LUTs, there is a link down in the description with 25% off. But if you don't care about LUTs, you can always do the correction and the color grading manually. So if we look at the different clips here, we can also see that all of these clips are peaking in the highlights and shadows, regardless of using a controller or not. And this is the biggest issue with the DJI Neo, if you ask me. The darkest parts seems to be crushed and the brightest parts seems to be blown out, especially when you use the automated flight modes like quick shots. And this is why your footage might not look as good as others, because they have already corrected this. So the first thing we need to do is to lift the shadows. If you're using Final Cut Pro, you can go over to the color inspector on the top right corner and then apply the color wheels, because that's the only thing you would need for correcting the footage coming from the DJI Neo. Now, as we lift the shadows, you can also see the waveform changing on the left hand side here, and the shadows are no longer in danger of being crushed. Now, we also want to decrease the highlights here. As we can see on the waveform, the highlights are already peaking above 100, which means that the brightest parts in the image will be blown out, and they still will be, but lowering this will make your video look more appealing because the blown out parts won't be that obvious anymore. But because the video was already captured with the blown out highlights, there's not much we can do in terms of data recovery, because the data was already lost when the video was recorded, which is also one of the reasons you would like to get the Fly More combo with the DJI Neo, because it includes that RC remote, which will give you the option to set a manual ISO, manual shutter speed and exposure value, and all of that in order to preserve the details in the highlights and shadows. The next clip was captured with the follow mode, and here we can also see the same issues related to highlights and shadows. And in my opinion, the clip also looks a little bit too blue, which is because of the auto white balance coming from the DJI Neo, and due to the smaller sensor, it really struggles to correct the white balance and have an accurate white balance in some scenarios. But again, to correct this image, we can also lift the shadows and lower the highlights, and already we have a better looking image with less sharpness. I will also set the white balance to 5500 Kelvin. So this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like after. So by following these basic steps, you can easily correct your DJI Neo footage to look better in seconds. And if I now apply some of the new LUTs on top of that, the image will look much more cinematic, much more unique, and you will get that travel vibe, which really makes your footage pop. There's also 10 different LUTs included and 5 more LUTs in the making, which will be added shortly, and each of these LUTs have been designed to enhance the overall image quality of the DJI Neo, whether you want to correct it first or just add the LUT directly on top of your footage. And regardless of correcting the footage or not, these LUTs have been made with the base correction built into the LUT because this shoots with a normal color profile, and this makes it easier and faster to achieve the optimal travel look with the DJI Neo. And the good thing about these LUTs is that you can change exactly how you want the LUT to look. You have full control because each LUT has a unique color pattern which manipulates certain colors to get the most appealing color combination. So you basically have full control or whatever you want to do. The only thing you have to do is to adjust the intensity slider to make the LUT stronger or weaker. But like I said, if you don't feel like applying any LUTs, the correction is pretty straightforward and only takes a few seconds. And even if you have a properly exposed image, I would strongly recommend lifting the shadows to remove more of that contrast and reduce the visual sharpness, which will make the footage look much better. So not only will you have one of the best experiences when you're out flying this, I mean this is amazing, but you will also have videos that actually looks good. What would be amazing though is if DJI could add the Cine-like on this one. I don't think we'll see the log M because I think that will require some internal changes because that's a 10-bit color profile, but the Cine-like is still a flat profile which has more dynamic range, which would make the image look even better, less sharp, and give us more room for color grading in post. So hopefully DJI can add this in the future with a firmware update along with some sharpness control in the DJI Fly app, so when we use the DJI Fly app we can lock the sharpness, so regardless of using the automated flight modes, the sharpness will still be locked. That would really make this a whole lot better. So there you have a quick guide on how to easily color correct and adjust your videos to look 10 times better than it does straight out of the box. And if you already have a copy of my Neo LUTs, I really appreciate that, and thank you so much for the support. And also let me know your thoughts on the LUTs down in the comments below. And for those of you that already have my Signature LUTs, these are also compatible with the DJI Neo but will require correction first. But I also have a detailed tutorial on this on the website, so if you have any questions, make sure to watch that video first, which will go through all the steps in Final Cut Pro, Premiere Pro, and LumaFusion, which is also similar to all the other softwares you might be using. And if you have any questions related to the DJI Neo itself, make sure to drop them down below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on the next releases. So until next time, thanks for watching, take care, bye bye.